How's it going, everyone? We've got quite a lot of news to go over in this video. Some absolutely awful news, as another studio's future is now in question, and to be perfectly honest, they are probably not long for this world. Especially saddening because they literally just released a game that's being received fairly well in Visions of Mana. The future of Oka Studio is very much in question. We need to talk about Oka Studio being absolutely gutted. Tencent Holdings and NetEase Inc. are reconsidering or scaling back many of their investments in Japanese studios after years of spending yielded few hit games and the Chinese market staged a comeback. NetEase has caught all but a handful of jobs at its Oka studio in Tokyo. According to people familiar with the matter, it intends to shut down the Shibuya outfit, which had opened up with much fanfare in 2020 and gone on to hire veterans from big-name companies such as Capcom and Bandai Namco. The few that remain will oversee the rollout of its final games before the studio winds down. Visions of Mana, again, just released. It saw its official release yesterday, and prior to that, the day before, it had its early access gimmick release. Visions of Mana was always a game I was concerned about. Like, to me, the game looked awesome. As a big JRPG fan, I was like, okay, this is a game that has a lot of potential. It's a game that I think I will personally really enjoy. But right out the gate, being a Square Enix published title, I was just looking at it being like, man, I don't know how much longer games like this are gonna get greenlit. This obviously has a lot of other things going on, and Visions of Mana was received rather well critically. However, I don't know how the game did commercially from a pre-order sense, and when it comes to Tencent and NetEase, their decision-making is not going to be in line with what I want out of gaming. I mean, that's just gonna be a reality, and I'm not even trying to decipher whether or not their decision-making is good or bad. From their own personal perspective, I'm not going to try to even critique them because they're in a different world than me. What I will say is it's absolutely a shame that this is happening because Visions of Mana just came out, and the game is being released quite well critically. And NetEase themselves, I mean, you know, just from an optics standpoint, what NetEase does in gaming, and then this happening to Oka Studio, obviously it's going to upset people like me quite a bit. And I'm just trying to hold in a little bit of the rage, but the industry as a whole is going through some wild things right now, and obviously layoffs, studio closures, this has just been a reality for the last year. I believe there is a literal Wikipedia page about like the industry collapse in 2024, which is just insane. Like that's not that insane to think about, but there are things happening. For example, back in January, Riot Forge was shut down, and I have talked great things about Riot Forge. They are the outfit that was putting out other League of Legends titles that were in the League of Legends universe, but obviously not League of Legends, and I love some of their games. I didn't even realize they got shut down. Guys, I cover video games, and I have been for years, and somehow that just got completely lost to me because these shutdowns have become such commonplace, and when I realized that that was the case, I didn't notice it, but a news story like that should be something I noticed the day it happens, but because this has just been happening so much, somehow I personally totally lost wind of that, and it's just being such a normal place. In this case, it happening right literally the day after a game launches, or if you want to go with the regular release, not the digital early access release, it was literally the day the game came out, and then this news came out of Oka Studios getting gutted and probably getting shut down. Like, that is the world we are living in. We are living in a world where a game like Hi-Fi Rush can come out, exceed all expectations. Microsoft themselves are coming out and saying that the game is a slam dunk home run, and they're happy with all of the numbers. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea. And they were about to get shut down until Krafton came in and revived Hi-Fi Rush as an IP. It is such a wild time as far as gaming and the longevity of these studios goes, and not in a good way. I feel like wild can have two different meanings. It is not a good thing, and I feel like the worst is yet to come, and it's so unfortunate for the health of the industry. I don't know how much longer a studio like Firewalk is going to be around for. Look, I've said what I said about Concord, but I don't want people to lose their jobs. I want resources to be allocated in the right direction, but I want the games industry to be a very, very healthy place. But obviously, there's a bit of a market correction that is going on right now. And you see what's happening with Bungie as well. It just feels like every week I'm reading a story about some studio either facing mass layoffs, some sort of disaster going on, somebody getting fired from doing whatsoever. I mean, I read that Bungie story recently, or a studio just getting shut down outright. And in this case, like, again, you guys, this game just came out. So obviously from the decision makers involved, that decision to gut Oka Studio was probably made a while ago. I would have to imagine that they looked at something like, and I'm sure it's not the only reason, but Visions of Mana's pre-order numbers, and they were just like, all right, throwing in the towel here. But obviously there's other reasons involved, but that is just such a depressing reality to be in, where we are hearing news like this the day a game comes out, and hopefully everybody involved in the studio, they land on their feet. Hopefully they figure out what to do next, because this is just absolutely, it's a terrible, terrible thing that's been going on in gaming all year long, and even beyond just this year. I mean, you can go back to stuff like Callisto Protocol selling a couple million copies and that being deemed a failure, and then what happened at that studio? Well, Morals of Aveum was July of 2023, and you saw what happened with Ascendant Studios. I do think there needs to be a little bit of correction in how much is invested in some of these games, but in the case of Visions of Mana, I mean, it's a smaller scale game. It wasn't designed to be this juggernaut of a title. It was never viewed to be that, and it would be depressing if this is going to be a story where you look at a game like this where it is a smaller scale JRPG, and from a Square Enix vantage point, I have always worried about, you know, some of the rhetoric that they put out and how much longer they're going to be invested into that second tier of JRPG. That is what I always worry about. I never worry about, as far as Japanese RPGs go, the top level JRPGs, the Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Personas of the world, Tales of, even throw that in there. I never have to worry about those franchises at all. It is the Visions of Mana level games, especially when it's being handled by bigger publishers that are going to have lofty expectations as well. Where in the case of, you know, a Legend of Heroes, a Ys, I think publishers and studios, as far as those games are concerned, more so have their expectations in check. In the case of Visions of Mana, when it is being handled by, you know, I don't want to paint them in a picture because I barely know them, but by suits that probably have bigger expectations out of their games and larger, grandiose expectations that were never just gonna be realistic. And just a clarification, according to Bloomberg writer Takashi Mochizuki, NetEase Games has been cutting staff at Oka Studio since the spring, so this has probably been something that NetEase has been planning for quite a while. In an email, a NetEase Games representative told Bloomberg it has nothing to announce regarding a potential closure of Oka Studios, and that it is seeing progress at the many Japanese studios it is invested into. You know, obviously, they're going to be, when you're cutting staff at this level, and it looks like only a few staff remain at the studio that'll oversee the final, the rollout of the final titles, how much longer is the studio going to be around for? The main thing is hopefully everybody involved is going to be able to find work and is going to be able to continue in the game development world or wherever they were involved in Oka Studios. Visions of Mana, by the way, was shipped under contract for Square Enix. Oka Studios was never a Square Enix studio, a Square Enix owned studio or anything like that. NetEase Games is the one in the decision making of this. So Square Enix is involved, but NetEase Games is the one cutting the staff at Oka Studios. I just want games like this to be sustainable, but let me know your guys' thoughts. Visions of Mana is a game I'm gonna kick off and start my playthrough of today. Had some stuff going on yesterday, so couldn't start it. Square Enix was nice enough to hook me up with a copy of the game, so I'm very appreciative of that. But, you know, I'm sure it's a game I'm gonna enjoy. Games like this are always gonna be up my alley. Just want to see a little bit of sustainability when it comes to games like this. But that'll do it for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.